This is Corolla Digital.
Hello, my little number 2 pencils. Before the show officially starts, a few words. Like I should tell you, it's me, Allison, in case you're wondering who this is. You might be confused because I called you by an office supply as opposed to a meat or a carb. It's something new that I'm trying. And someone on Twitter suggested number 2 pencils, and I thought, yeah, that fits. That works. Anyway, I believe we have an iTunes comment of the week.
Allison wants your iTunes comments. Allison wants them, yes she does. Please leave her some iTunes comments and don't forget to click 5 stars.
All right, our iTunes comment of the week comes from Handlewoman, and it is titled, "Oh, My Dear Allison. I'm a desk jockey with an IT job, and I truly enjoy listening to your podcast. Not only are you intelligent and witty, but I appreciate how articulate you are, even when tackling personal and potentially embarrassing topics. Thanks for brightening my day. Please keep sharing. I will definitely be listening. P.S. As a fellow female, I am still surprised sometimes by Aunt Flo and her crazy antics, even after 30 years and 3 kids. Your candor was enjoyed, and my prayers are with you. Smiley face. Winky, smiley face."
I've never heard you pronounce emoticons before, Gary.
I think that's our first one.
I know. Well, thank you so much. Handlewoman, is that what it was? That was a sweet comment, and I think my favorite part is that this period thing just won't die, and Gary can't get enough of it. Am I right? You can't hit your button and then stare at me and sigh because the audience can't hear what's going on.
Yes, they can.
Now they can hear it.
Yes, they can. I had it open. I've listened back to these. They can hear my sighs.
Okay.
I have nothing nice to say, so I'm deciding not to say anything at all.
Oh, Gary. Didn't you have sisters, right?
I have one older sister, but she's so much older than me that I never really had to endure this. She's 16 years older than me, so.
Oh, all right. Say no more. If that explains why you are so uncomfortable with things that are so just natural and female and earthy, earth mothery, goddessy, all this stuff. Oh, don't roll your eyes at me. I'm just kidding. You know that. I don't know if you're rolling your eyes at me or if you're rolling your eyes at the whatever the hell is going on. Oh, it was?
A little bit.
I wanted to blame it on all the other stuff going on.
That would have been nice.
There's stuff going on, you guys. I don't know what it is, but I see people walking around. That's basically what it is. But usually there's no one walking around when I'm doing this. It's distracting me. I think we have time for a fan phone call.
On a fan phone call. Allison wants to thank you all. On a fan phone call.
I believe we'll be calling Luke.
Hello.
Hello, is this Luke?
Yes, this is.
Hi, this is Alison Rosen from Alison Rosen is Your New Best Friend.
What?
Yes.
It is? Are
It's-
you serious?
I really am.
Wow, I thought this was my friend Mike.
No.
Wow, you really sound like Allison. Wow, it's really you. That's crazy.
No, Gary's here too.
What's
Hello,
up?
Gary.
How's it going, man?
Hello.
What were you expecting to talk to Mike about?
Well, he just sealed the deal on a new house, actually.
Oh, good for him.
Yes. Yes, very.
What kind of house is it?
It's a small, quaint little house in the valley. Used to belong to an old lady, but she
Died.
moved on to a different place, a different house, home or something. Yeah.
Like moved on to a different home in heaven, or she just lives somewhere else?
No, not in heaven yet, but somewhere else.
You know, the interesting thing is that I expected that you were going to say that Mike was calling you to talk about drinking some beers or something. And then when you said that Mike was calling you because he just bought a house, it just made me feel really old.
Yeah, I know. It makes me feel like a loser, to tell you the truth.
Do you not own property? Because I don't own property.
I don't.
What's your story? What's your story, Luke?
I'm living with the rents still, and just working, trying to save up to make the next move.
Yeah.
And that's where I'm at.
So you're living with your parents now. Did you move back in with them, or did you never move out?
I actually did move out to go to school, college, and then I moved back in.
I did that for a little while. It makes you feel really pathetic, right?
Totally. Totes.
Yes, I did that when I moved. Yeah, I went to college, and then I came back and lived there for a couple years, and then I moved back out. And then when I moved back from New York, when I moved to California, I went back, and that was even harder because then I was old. But I was out pretty quick, but still. Yeah, it never makes you feel like, oh, this is exactly how I planned it.
Right, totally. Yeah, I would not want to move back in after moving back out again, but I don't think it'll happen because I don't think my dad would let it happen. He'd probably see to it that it wouldn't never happen.
But it's super common, and it's actually helpful. Like it allowed me. I'm happy that I was able to save up some money at that time.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. So
exactly.
what's the dream? What do you want to do?
Trying to figure out what exactly I want to get into. I thought I liked restaurants, but it just doesn't pay the bills as much as I wanted to. Or at least part-time work doesn't. So I'm working full-time, but I want to get into like TV production or something.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. It's hard to get in there. So once you're in, though, you're in. But it's hard to make that step. So it's like I've had some interviews here and there, but right now I'm not really working there. But I'm working at related to that field, but not quite related as much as I'd like. So I'm just getting money, saving up a little bit. That's
Wait,
exciting.
You're working related to the field, but not really? What is that? What does that mean?
Well, yeah. Well, the company I work for, we upload movies to the internet, so like iTunes. So
you work for iTunes?
No, well, not for them, but a company that
is
goes
similar
through them. So,
huh.
Yeah.
Are you a raging asshole? Because Gary and I had some experience with something very tangibly related to this, and it was very difficult for us.
Am I? No, I'm not. I'm not an asshole.
I know you don't seem like one at all, but I'm just saying our limited experience with people who upload things via a service to iTunes has not been positive.
Well, I can tell you the people around me in my office, a few of them are assholes, and I don't know. They've actually become nicer, but a few of them are still just the same. So.
Yeah, what is that about? I feel like Gary wants to say something.
You're vastly underselling
how awful it was for us.
How much this sucked. I just used the service again today and had to tell somebody that our thing will probably go up in the next 36 to 72 hours. But keep in mind that the last time I said that, it took 29 days. And that's a true story. That's not exaggerated one bit.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I could see that happening in the upper departments because it seems like one person says one thing, but they don't know that he said that. So they're telling this person on the other end that this is going to happen when really they don't know anything.
They're just peddling bullshit.
Yeah, and there's some long hours going on for some people, but or doing two jobs, so they're getting crazy. So
Luke, do you have are you in love?
No, but I have a date this Thursday.
That's exciting. What's the story with the date? Where'd you meet this lucky person? I'm trying to be so gender neutral because I don't know if you put it in ladies or men.
Oh, it's a lady. Yeah.
I assumed, but I just didn't want to assume.
Oh, yeah, of course. I met her at the restaurant she works at, actually.
Oh.
Yeah.
So this is a date that is not born of the internet. Congrats.
No, yeah, thank you. Yeah. My first time actually getting a number out to somebody that worked somewhere, and they took me up on it, so yeah, here we go.
Well, that's awesome. What are you guys going to do?
Probably go to lunch. And she works later that day, so just play it easy, have a little cool, low-key date, or low-key lunch. Mm-hmm. I guess it's a date, yeah. And
it's a lunch date.
It's a simple lunch date, yeah. So nothing too crazy.
Well,
that'll be,
You'll have to tweet us and tell us how it goes. Unless she follows you, and that would be embarrassing. And how did you start listening to me?
I heard about Adam Carolla through Dennis Prager, even though I knew about Adam before I knew about Dennis. But then Dennis was like, I hang out with Adam Carolla, which was a total surprise to me. So I was like, okay, I'm going to give Adam another shot. And then I'm just bored at work, looking for things to do sometimes, listen to a lot of radio, so figured your show would be cool, and it was. So I'm happy I did.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, and your voice sounds just like my godmother, by the way. You guys sound identical. You guys are very positive and upbeat, and so yeah, you kind of sound like her also, which keeps me listening sometimes.
Huh. Well, she sounds like she probably has a lovely voice.
She does. She's very nice.
What
lovely woman.
What does she do?
What does she do? You know, it's a good question. I don't know. I do not know at the moment. I know her husband's a lawyer, but so I don't know. Maybe she's at home right now, but
right.
I think she works at a school, I thought.
I mean, I feel like with this voice, she should really work in voiceover. She should consider it at the very least.
I'll have her give you
with our
tweet.
voice. That's what she should be doing.
I know. I'll tell her.
Yeah.
I already told her that you sound like her, so maybe she listens to you now and then. Next time I see her, I'll have to ask.
Yeah. Well, let her know that she also has the same voice as my sister. There's 3 of us. So my sister and I pretty much have the same voice.
Wow.
Only one of us can use it at a time. Listen, Luke, thank you so much for answering the phone. I'm sure this was weird and unexpected because I didn't tweet about it earlier. So,
No problem.
Yeah. All right. Well, have a good
pleasure.
night and best of luck
You
on
too.
the date. Okay. Bye, Luke.
Thank you. See you, Gary. Bye.
Bye. He was very chill. That's how I would describe him.
Yeah, absolutely.
I liked him. Go, Luke, with being nice and friendly and answering the phone and thinking I was Mike. Anyway, I want to tell you guys about a few of our delightful sponsors. Go to my PC. The weather is crappy. It could be cold crappy. It could be hot crappy. It could start hot in the morning and be cold at night, or vice versa. I don't know how it is where you are, but where we are, it is insane. But actually, on the East Coast, it's like the coldest it's been in forever. And if you're stuck in a place where it's the coldest it's been in forever, and you need to get to the office to get to your computer, you're pretty much screwed, because your car could be frozen shut. Or other things that happen in bad weather. What I'm saying is, in this day and age, you should be able to get to your computer from wherever you are without actually having to physically be in the same place as your computer. And now you can do that with Go to My PC by Citrix. You can access your entire office computer from home, or vice versa. You don't have to risk a dangerous commute or worry about falling short on a project. Go to My PC is a secure remote access tool that allows you to connect to your office computer from any other computer or mobile device. You can access all of your work files, programs, and network from wherever you are, whenever you need to. Be prepared. Set up Go to My PC today. It takes just a few minutes, and it's really easy to use. Try Go to My PC free today with a special 45-day free trial just for my listeners. Visit gotomypc.com, click on the Try It Free button, and enter the promo code Allison. Then download the free app to your iPad or iPhone. That's gotomypc.com, try it free, promo code Allison. Also, Vistaprint. Vistaprint is a place to go where you can get customizable marketing and promo things for your business, for your brand, for you. And as I've said before, and I'll say it again, you are your brand. And there's all sorts of things you can create at Vistaprint. But what I want to point you guys in the direction of is their calendars. I'm a big calendar fan. I know that everyone has a calendar on their phone. Well, I assume that you have the kind of phone where you have a calendar on it. It's 2013. Of course you do. But I think it is super useful to be able to just look at my wall and see puppies, but also know what day it is and also know what's going on. And you can get all sorts of calendars at Vistaprint. You can include personal photos, text, images, and captions, notes for special dates, any starting month you want. They're fun, unique, and affordable, and it makes a great gift for customers, friends, and family. Again, I've said this before, that if there was if a company gave me a calendar, I would use it. You know who hasn't given me a calendar? Anyone. No one has given me a calendar lately. What is up with that? Wall calendars, desk calendars, poster calendars, wallet calendars, magnets, and cards. They have it all. Choose from hundreds of calendar templates. They're easy to design and order. And there's a special offer right now. All calendars, including wall, desk, poster, wallet, and folded, are 50% off, and you get free shipping on your entire order if you spend more than $30. Visit www.vistaprint.com/bestfriend to get this incredible offer. Just go to www.vistaprint.com/bestfriend And this is a big deal. Satisfaction is guaranteed. If you're not happy, they will make it right. No risk. Everyone should have that. Also, you guys, Valentine's Day is coming up soon, and you don't want to screw this up. Now, you're probably thinking I'm going to tell you about flowers or chocolate or something sweet. I want to talk about sex. Go to bettersex.com and learn how to be a star in the bedroom. Because you might think you are right now, but are you really? I mean, really, are you? I mean, even if you're good, you can always be better. Bettersex.com has dozens of videos of real-life couples, steamy, demonstrating tips and techniques that will rock your partner's world. And there's also webinars and expert advice brought to you by the Sinclair Institute, America's trusted leader in sexual health. At bettersex.com, their slogan is more sex, better sex, more often. I think that's Gary's slogan. So get to bettersex.com today. If you type in the word friend into the coupon code, you'll save 50% off any one item, get 3 videos, and free shipping. That's bettersex.com. Type in the word friend, so it's Alison Rosen's new best friend, at the coupon code, and it's a great deal, and you'll turn your love life into the wild ride you've always wanted, because great lovers are made, not born. But maybe you've been born a great lover. I mean, who's to say? I'm just saying you could be better. And that's pretty much what I say in the bedroom, too. I'm like, you could be better. Anyway, it's here, you guys. The episode with Rory Scovel. He's possibly the nicest person I've ever met. And I feel like I've said that before, but he's really... Actually, you know what? I'm stepping on myself, because at the beginning of the episode, we talk about how nice he is. Because he's just that nice. And funny. I'm gushing. I can't stop saying stuff about him. I just like him that much. Okay, here we go. I love you guys.
Alison Rosen is your new best friend. Alison, with her the good times never end. Alison Rosen, doing the wavy pencil dance again. Alison's your new best friend.
Hey everyone, hi, hello, it's me, Alison, and welcome to another episode of Alison Rosen is Your New Best Friend. My guest today is comedian Rory Scovel, and I need to clear my throat. Okay, since you've been here already, a few semi-awkward but okay social things have happened. Mm-hmm. The very first one being... You came in, and I went to give you a hug, and you went to shake my hand, but then you're like, get over here. Yeah. And I was thinking, that is such a good way to make the other person not feel weird about it. Like as if you wanted me to get over there the whole time.
You know what? I want a hug all the time, but you and I are new to knowing each other.
Right. Maybe so I was a little forward.
But I like
hug.
that. I'd rather that, because I always go with the handshake because I'm always too afraid. But when I go for the handshake and someone goes for the hug, I'm so happy.
You're afraid
I'm like, good.
Of the rejection?
Well, especially as a guy and
right.
a girl,
right.
You coming with the handshake and me going with the hug, just in my head, I'm like, oh, I seem like I just wanted to squeeze her.
Yeah, you're right. Well, see, but you can pull it off, and I hope this doesn't sound too forward, because you're an attractive, non-creepy guy.
Thank you.
But there's been plenty of creeps who've been in here, and I feel like they should stick to the handshake instead of whatever.
And they're going mega hug.
Yeah,
right
they
out
are.
of the gate.
Right.
Yeah.
And then sometimes people do the hug where it's so kind of austere that it's like I feel rejected by that hug. Like, thank you for the I'm not even going to touch you with my arms, a light tap thing.
Yeah, I've seen that happen with other people. I've seen like that the person kind of react that way.
Yeah.
I saw a hug happen where I saw the person's face. The person hugging was really like, "Oh, come here," like giving a good hug.
Yeah.
And I saw the person's face and arms. I was like, "Oh, they do not want that hug."
I've been that person where I think if I'm like tired or I don't know what, but just my social sense isn't quite calibrated, I'll kind of go for the like hold hug, and they're just going for the I don't know you that well hug, and then I feel like, ugh, I was trying to get some comfort. What was I doing?
Yeah.
My description made it sound a little more pathetic than it was. It was meant to just be a slight awkward thing, not a sad, please love me world kind of thing that it really is.
When I This sounds like a weird humble brag, but it's not.
Okay.
But this same scenario happened when I did Conan. Mila Kunis was the guest, and it's the first time I've done something where the guests actually stayed and like watched the comedian. And so after we were done taping, I didn't know if the cameras were still taping, like during credits or stuff.
Right.
So she was walking towards me, and in my head I was like, "There's no way I'm going hug style, and there's ever going to be footage of her with her hand out to shake my hand." And I'm like, "No, you hug me." So from that point on, I'm always, especially if it's a woman, I'm always just like, I'm going to wait and see what they do. I'm going to see what's happening. And all right, okay.
Would it help you and your kind if I were to be like, "Hey, Rory, hug"?
Yes.
To just announce my intention.
In fact, from now on, that's what we're doing. Hugs.
That sounds good to me. Oh, and now talking to you is reminding me of another awkward situation. They're not that awkward, but another thing that happened. So you and I first met on Doug Benson's Doug Loves Movies podcast. Yep. And then we also recently did the movie Interruption. Is that what he calls it?
Yeah.
Where we
Doug
watched...
Benson's bringing us together.
He is. Right. Thank you, Doug. Where we watched Love Actually and interrupted it with Zach Galifianakis.
That was so fun.
He's so funny.
Yeah.
And Doug and me and you.
Were you nervous during that show?
I wasn't nervous during it, but I beforehand wondered, what should I be doing to prepare for this? And then afterwards I thought it was really fun.
Yes.
And really, for me, entertaining because I was laughing so much while other people were, interrupting. But of course, I also was keeping a little bit of a tally of like how much of the things I'm saying are and am I taught. Well, the funny thing though is that actually Doug, the first time anyone has ever said anything like this to me as a performer, Doug was like, "Don't feel pressure to talk a lot."
I loved that.
That was, yeah.
Yeah. Because I love Mystery Science Theater 3000. I watched it all the time. So doing shows like that are my favorite. Watching a movie and doing jokes. The only thing, I love that he was like, it's okay to not talk a lot and just kind of watch the movie. The only thing about that type of show is if you do think of something to say, you have to full on commit and say it.
Yes.
And the bad part is like on stage, if you do that, then you're like, oh, no one thought that was funny. You can riff and get out of it. But with that, you have to sit in your bad joke because you can't keep interrupting the movie with like, well, I thought that was funny because blah, unless someone makes fun of you, then you're trapped in it. I feel like I had about 3 or 4 where there was just no reaction. I was like, oh, I should stop. I gotta stop.
See, I feel like the audience had an energy of their own where at the beginning they were laughing a lot. And then I felt like we got into a part of the movie where like, because people were saying funny things and they just weren't really reacting. Like, I think they just were laughed out for a stretch of it.
Right. They were just into the movie.
Yeah. But I do feel like it's a special kind of skill to be able to do. Like, it's a special kind of skill. But something that made me realize that was when we just saw a woman in bed and then Doug made a fart sound. And I thought, oh, yeah, that's the perfect kind of joke for this.
Yeah.
That hadn't occurred to me.
Right.
But when Zach did that thing where he was opening up the candy and it went really like crinkling for so long, and then when he was like, he's all, and then was biting M&Ms, I was like, I had thought of doing that.
Yeah.
But I feel like he can pull that off better than I can.
Yeah, I thought it was so funny how long he just kept doing it.
I know.
Because I know what you mean. I would be like, oh, if I did that joke, I probably would have done it for like a second. I'm like, get it?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like, I can't tell which side of the funny/annoying thing I'm on.
Yeah.
But anyway, so after the show, my boyfriend Daniel was talking to you, and he said something. I forget. I think we were talking about how I would contact you to be on this podcast, which we have to circle back and talk about that. But he said he made some reference to like, hello, which was a something that you do on the Todd Glass show.
Oh, the Todd Glass show, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
But he realized that you didn't realize that's what he was saying, but you like went along with it anyway, just so that he wouldn't feel weird.
Oh, what did I say?
I don't know. Like, you kind of riffed on it.
Yeah.
But it was clear to him that you didn't realize that he was referring to the Todd Glass show. No.
I had the worst showing at the end of that show.
No, that's the thing, is that he's such a nice guy that he didn't get my lame joke, because he felt like he didn't do it right, and that's why you didn't get it or whatever. But he's like, he's so nice that he went along with my thing so that I wouldn't feel weird about it.
Oh,
so
man.
we think you're the nicest guy ever.
I'll take it.
And you are.
I'll take it. And then you see footage of me in the car. And I'm like, who is that hello thing? Who does he think he is? I'm just the biggest
He says hello to me. Yeah. Well, so a second ago we were talking about the fact that I said to you, how do I get in touch with you for my show?
Yeah.
Now, take it away.
Well, and it was so strange that it stumped me because I was just going to give my phone number or just like text you. And the only reason I made it weird when I was like, oh, I don't know if I should give the number was because I didn't want to put you in a position of where you're now giving. I would then have your number. And that's so weird to me that was I think it's kind of a weird thing of me to be like, oh, that's the math on that social equation.
Right.
When really it should have been like, no, here's my number.
Are
Who
you
really
saying
cares?
it's weird that you initially thought, she's a huge star, I'm just Rory, when in reality we're the same? Because I take offense at that.
Well, no, I thought I thought it was just, I was like, oh, I don't want to ever put someone in a position where they're like, oh, now I have to share my phone number.
And the
I was
funny
like,
thing is,
maybe
I would have no
email.
problem with that. It's more putting someone in the position where they have to call. I feel like in
Yeah.
this day of phones, well, except texting is fine. Now.
Right.
But in this day of phones, I don't know, like how many times have you been booked on something that's not TV via phone?
No, it's like always Facebook. I told someone, I think it was Jackie Cation. I told Jackie Cation, I was like, honestly, I think I would get off Facebook, but all the like little spots I get, like in Los Angeles, come from like me Facebooking or someone Facebooking
that's so
me.
interesting.
I was like, so I'm kind of stuck in it because I don't think people know my email address. So if I stop, I don't know their email address. If someone's like, so and so runs a show, I'll be like, oh, I don't know what their email address is. I can find them on Facebook.
Yeah.
So it's almost like if I want to get up and work on stuff and I get off Facebook, I don't even want that challenge of trying to figure out, well, how do I do it now?
Right.
Yeah.
Because there's Twitter, but that's much more complicated with the direct messaging and all that.
But never like phones.
Yeah.
Always like Facebook.
Right. Right. Yeah, because I think that actually trying to book someone for your podcast on the phone would involve you then listing a bunch of dates and then them having to look at their calendar and then call you
And
back.
it's also I feel like this new culture of like, we don't want to be put on the spot to solve anything in the moment.
Yes.
And
that's why
we're
instant
great at
messaging
avoiding
is too
it.
hard for me.
Instant messaging is becoming like, oh God, I have to have this conversation. Like, well, you don't really. Like, you could just not respond. Or
Somehow
like,
somehow it's like the minute that thing pops up on your computer, it's like the person's in your living room peering at you.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's the
I
blinking
just had
cursor.
someone Facebook me. I do not like, even though I'm saying about bookings, I'm not good at Facebook messaging. If I go on Facebook and I see that I have messages, I then look, like, let's say, when it says, like, let's say it says 3 messages. And then I click on it and I read 1 and then I get distracted and do something else. And then it doesn't say, like, 2 left.
Right.
It doesn't say anything. And I forget that there's some there. I miss a lot of messages. Somebody just recently wrote me saying they were coming to LA, and I looked at it, I read it. I didn't respond right away. And my honest thought process was like, oh, well, tomorrow's Sunday. I'm going to just go through all these Facebook things I've probably missed. And I'll just hit that one up first because it's right there. 20 minutes later, that guy wrote back and he goes, hey, I don't want to sound weird or anything, but I can see when you've read my Facebook messages. And I was like, oh, well, I'm not good at Facebook and you're probably not going to believe this anyways, but I was going to do all this on Sunday. But either way, I'm not here when you're here.
Yeah.
So now it's done and out of the way. But in my head, I was just like, oh, I wonder if that's happened numerous times.
I was unaware of that.
I was too. I thought it was like a rumor. I've heard about that, but I thought,
I'm
that's
not
not
even in the
real.
Facebook circles enough to know that it's rumored.
I don't even know how you do that. I don't think I'd want that. I don't want to know if someone's read my message. If someone never gets back to me, I'll be like, fine.
Yeah,
I don't want
maybe
to
it
know
didn't get
details.
to them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Gary, did you know about this?
Yeah, I found out the hard way too.
How do
Yeah.
you? Where is this information stored on Facebook?
I don't know. There's so many. Go search for Facebook privacy settings, and there's a bunch of sites out there that tell you how to do it all. They just changed their privacy settings 2 weeks ago, and now it's all different, and it doesn't necessarily keep you private even if you were before. Like, it's weird. Facebook's too much for me.
You want to
Yeah.
know what my immediate fear was, though?
What?
I was like, oh, well, if that's not a rumor, that is a real thing now, then have people seen my Facebook behavior? Like, if I've
Right,
gone and
right.
tried to stalk people, like we've all,
That's
I'm
always
no
my
longer
fear.
hiding that there's some people that stalk. I'm now accepting we all are
all do
oh,
it,
who
yeah.
is out there? And then you find yourself going through 100 photos, and on 100 is when it occurs you're a psycho, and you're like, oh, I have to stop. But it doesn't erase the fact that you did just look at 100. So
Right.
if these things are really out there, does someone
Right.
go,
Is it on your
Someone just went
activity?
through all my pictures.
I know, that's a good question. My fear is always, what if I type the name that I'm searching into the status update bar instead of the search window?
Yeah.
So
I know it, yeah.
yeah.
It's the scariest.
It is. And also sometimes, I noticed this a long time ago, if you're looking at someone's page and then you click to another page, in the URL, it will have like the original, like let's say I'm looking at your page, it'll be like Facebook, blah, 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 Rory Scovel / and then the new person's thing.
Yeah.
So if you were to post that link, not that you would, but let's say you wanted to put a link to something, it would show like the trail of where you had been. It doesn't always do that, but I remember seeing that once and thinking, this is scary. Facebook in general is sort of like a minefield. You have to avoid embarrassing yourself.
But like think about, that alone right there to me is so interesting that Facebook is turning us into, like if you didn't have the opportunity to stalk someone, you wouldn't.
Right.
But now you're given the opportunity to be so in this in philosophically. So then, are you a stalker, and now you just get to sort of facilitate that, or
interesting.
Or are you just now becoming one because you have this opportunity? Like if you got rid of Facebook, if you got rid of certain things, would we all just be normal, or are we now becoming narcissistic because we can have our own little website where we can showcase our vacations or the cool thing we're doing? Or even Twitter, when see people say humble brag, like, is that person a jerk, or are they a jerk now because they can brag about the thing they're doing?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I feel like humble brag is a thing that has specifically grown out of Twitter because it's someone wanting to promote themselves and thinking that they can disguise it.
Right,
yeah.
Yeah.
To me, that's like one of the most obnoxious qualities is the person, actually not just social media, but all over the place, someone who tries to outsmart someone else when they're really bad at it. That I find sort of, there's something insulting in that behavior. But let's talk about that. That's a really good question. My first thought about it is this really stalking, or is this some other thing that we're calling stalking?
There should maybe be another word.
Behavior.
Yeah, because stalking is pretty harsh, and stalking also is like it carries this whole other thing as opposed to am I really stalking, or am I just looking at all the pictures you've made public anyways?
Well, are we talking about exes, or are we talking about just randoms? Because if it's randoms, I would argue that it's sort of voyeuristic.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's probably. I'm willing to say that everyone's probably gone and looked through both. Like, this is my ex-girlfriend, I haven't seen it forever. And not even in a weird, creepy way. You're just kind of like, well, what are you up to?
Yeah.
And, you go back and look. I've definitely done that. And also I've done the normal thing where it's like, we went to 5th grade together. I'm just going to just see what your life is like.
Yeah.
I'm never going to contact you. We're never going to talk. But this is kind of a weird, trippy thing for me. But then, well, you know what? Maybe I just had a little revelation.
Did you have an epiphany?
Well, like, me knowing you and seeing you as often as I do, and I'll probably see you more often, like now.
Hugs!
But there's and we'll yell hugs right when we see each other. But there's a good chance, like, I won't go and, like, look through your Facebook.
Right.
As opposed to if I hadn't seen you in 10 years, then maybe I would go and look through your Facebook.
Yeah.
Oh, now I'm lost in my own question.
No, that's true. Oftentimes I think to myself, I should really check my friends' Facebook pages more. My friends who I consider my friends, but maybe I haven't seen them in a little while, I should check their Facebook pages so I know what they're up to, because I really don't know, what did they do for New Year's, blah, blah, blah. I'm sure there's pictures.
Right, yeah.
But when I go to Facebook, it would be to find someone from the past, probably, or to, not to actually contact them, but just to look or someone random, or someone that I don't have access to. Yeah.
Right.
Facebook it's sort of like the internet in general. Well, see, I remember the realization, oh my God, I can search anyone. That's so exciting.
Yeah.
And the truth is that I had wanted something like that before. I just didn't have any way to do it.
Okay.
So for me, I guess I really am a stalker.
Well, I think we're all doing it. So maybe it's not really, maybe what we're coming to realize is this is what we would do. We wanted this.
Yeah.
Because I can't imagine, if you're on Facebook, I can't imagine you being like, oh no, I've never done that.
No.
Like there's no way.
No. If it didn't appeal to us innately, it wouldn't have taken off so much.
Right.
But the question is it creating a certain kind of narcissism in us?
I mean,
and I don't know.
I mean, but it's also that question, like, is it already there, or is it now there because we have the means to do it? Like, if someone, we all want to drive a car, but if cars didn't exist, would we think of, we'll drive a car? I mean, I guess technically that did happen. Now I'm horrible at the philosophy of my own.
Well, But it's like people blame violence on video games.
Right,
which
okay, yeah.
I don't agree with.
Mm-hmm.
Granted, I don't play video games other than I haven't told the world at large this yet. I've told Gary. I've been playing Sims on my iPad. I know I'm years late to The Sims, but anyway, I feel... And here's the thing, though. To, like, save your Sims information, you have to log in through Facebook. And for the longest time, I didn't want to do it because I was afraid that it was going to say on Facebook that, like, Allison just,
Is crushing it on Sims. Allison is spending most of her time on Sims.
No, it'd be like Allison bought a dog and can't find it and is now Googling how do I find the dog I bought on Sims. Allison is thinking of texting her sister who has done Sims to find out how she makes a banana bread thing to complete a goal.
Our computers are exposing the true us.
Yeah. It's sad. But anyway, yeah, but I feel like, no, the reason people respond to video games is because there's a violence in us that we don't get to, exercise in any way. But that's like kind of the aggression and violence is in human nature. Mm-hmm. And a video game, I think, is a good way to blow off some of that steam.
Get
for
it
lack
out.
For lack of a better word.
Yeah.
Like to sublimate it as a... I don't think it creates violence in people. I don't know, though. I wonder if there are studies that have more information about that I would find credible. What are your thoughts on that?
I don't know. I feel like, think of how many people play super violent video games. I mean, it's like $1 billion industry. And specifically games that are probably violent, that much money. If that were true, if you really could blame the video games, then I don't think we'd be as civil as we are. I think you'd have more, school shootings, or you'd hear it'd be more free. It's already way more frequent than it needs to be, and often that's an excuse. But if you're saying that's the cause of it, and it's it's going to cause that in other people, I'd say, well, that's probably not correct, because it seems like then it would be happening way more often. It seems like you have to, every single person that's done a crime like that, something horrific like that, there's something off about them, and it probably would have happened whether a video game influenced them to do it or not.
Right, because these horrific crimes were happening before video games, and I wonder what were they blaming, back then, shooting galleries or something.
Exactly.
So, Rory Scovel, where are you from?
I grew up in South Carolina, Greenville, South Carolina.
Mm-hmm. And, tell me.
Okay. I grew up there, and I went to college in Spartanburg, South Carolina. And then when I got into stand-up, I moved to Washington, D.C., and then I moved to New York City, and then I just moved here 2 years ago.
Oh, welcome.
Yeah.
I just moved. Well, I'm from here originally, but I was in New York, and then I came back in October of 2010.
Yeah, I got here in November of that year. Yeah.
So
well, I knew that you had moved. And I was like, well, then I'm going too.
Yeah. I had updated my Facebook, and
I saw it on Facebook, and I was like,
exactly.
well, then I'm moving across the country also.
What college did you go to?
I went to the University of South Carolina, Spartanburg.
And what'd you major in?
Journalism, communications. So it's kind of weird that I do stand-up, and I did actually have a college education that does somewhat pertain to communicating with a large group of people, which is sort of strange.
What did you think you wanted to go into?
I didn't know. I knew, like, in high school, I wanted to be a filmmaker. And even in college, I took communications because there were film classes that went with it. And then it was somewhere in college where I was like, I can't picture how I would do this. It seems like I'm just dreaming something, like, impossible. And then when I got out of college, I was like, I just worked at a news station, like doing camera for like a studio nightly news, like local news kind of thing. And that was just to have a job, but also because I was like, this kind of pertains to maybe what I'll go into. There's a camera, and it is journalism. Maybe I'll go down this road.
Did you think you'd be behind the camera or in front of it?
I always wanted to sort of be in front of it, but I was like, maybe I can figure out this world of how things run. I am very interested in editing and stuff in film in general, and I was like, well, I'll try to. I probably won't be a filmmaker, but maybe I'll do something that's close to doing something like that. And then when I tried stand-up, I just had so much fun doing it the very first time that I did it that I was like, I'll give this a shot. And so my sister lived in D.C., so I moved to D.C., and she got me a job so I could have some money.
What were you doing in D.C.?
I was a desktop support specialist, which is really just a fancy word for secretary. I sat at a desk, answering phones, surfing the internet, doing whatever the people in the office needed.
What kind of business
It was actually for the Department of Defense, but it was a government contracting firm. So I think it was like healthcare related stuff. Or I know that it was. And I basically, with all that, as important as all that sounds, and it is, my job was just, hey, the printer's broken. You're the guy who has to fix it, or call the person who has to fix it, or here's the supplies everybody needs. Go and get supplies. Make sure the conference room looks nice. If someone comes in for a meeting, entertain them for a couple minutes before the meeting starts so that they're not, I guess, super impatient about the meeting starting late. Mm-hmm. It was simple. I had to dress up every day. That was the hardest part.
How long did you do that?
I did that for 3 years.
And were you doing
No,
stand-up?
I did that for 2 years, I think. Yeah.
And you were doing stand-up at the time?
Yeah, and that's what made it great, because the day job was so simple, and it's a government position, so it paid stupid money for what I was doing, and everybody in the office knew I was trying to be a stand-up, and they kind of liked that, and they thought that was interesting, so I was able to get other stand-ups jobs there doing the same thing, because there's something they liked about it, and and so I never minded being at work, because right afterwards, I was hanging out with comics, going to do a show, going to bed, getting up and doing it all over again. Like the first 3 years of stand-up, someone had said that those are the years you really want to remember. And I remember you're so focused on what you want to accomplish and, can you make it and actually make a career out of this that you forget to really hold on to those years. And looking back, it's like, yeah, that was the most fun socially I ever had in stand-up, was hanging out in D.C. with those comics.
To work a government job, did you have to get a security clearance or any of that kind of stuff?
Yeah, I mean, like for what I was doing, it was like the most minimal thing. I mean, every now and then a drug test, I think. But I mean, those didn't even really happen. And then, just like a regular background check on you. So it's the kind of job, really, if you've graduated college and they need someone, you've got it. Yeah, I don't even think you have to have graduated college, but if you have, you're ahead of the list to get that job.
Have you noticed what I've noticed, which is no one ever really looks into how you did in college or even where you went to college or anything like that. Like when I was going to college, I had no idea how much it was not going to matter one day. But I'd say, as a caveat though, I'm not saying therefore I don't think it matters, because I think
I'm
really glad I went. Yeah.
Yeah, for your own, I think, growth. And I think it's good for you, for sure.
Because I'm not one of those people who's like, there's no practical application for college, so therefore you should just go to a trade school. I do believe in a liberal arts education. I just no one gives a fuck.
Right. I mean, if you tried to go get a job right now and just lied about where you went to school.
Yeah, I don't think they would check.
I don't think they would. I bet you could probably be like, I went to, I don't know where you went, but.
I went to Pomona College,
yeah,
but I could tell them I went to any other college.
Yeah, I went to UCLA. They probably would never look.
Right.
They'd be like, oh, okay. If you sold it enough, charismatically, they'd be like, oh, yeah.
I don't even.
Why would she lie about that? She's not crazy.
I think that you could just put it on your resume. That's the thing. They don't even ask you.
Yeah.
I've never put it into words.
Yeah. I had my resume in a Word document that I just came across a printed out resume, and because I was going through my closet and I was throwing out a lot of stuff that I just saved for years from moving to, and I was with my fiance and I came across in a folder my resume and I put it back and saved it, and I sat there for a second and I go, I just saved my resume thinking, what if I need that? Right. I was like, I think that's how little faith I have in myself with my chosen career.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, let's not get rid of that right away. I don't have to retype it. I might need that.
Yeah. You don't want to have to go on an emergency Kinko's run.
Right, yeah. And try to put a resume together, remembering what I've done.
Right.
With this 9-year gap of basically unemployment.
Well, so what is going on with you now? I know that you're doing a sitcom, right?
We're developing one, hoping that they want to do it. Myself and Scott Martyr, who is a writer and executive producer on Always Sunny in Philadelphia, he was wanting to work on something, and he's with CAA, and I'm with CAA, and I think I have good ideas, but I'm not really a writer, so I don't know what to do with them. And CAA just, in a very smart way, paired us up, and he had an idea about his parents, so we just kind of put the idea together and put all the characters together, went and pitched it, and ABC liked it. So he just turned the script in. I think actually right now he's getting notes on that script. So yeah, fingers crossed that they want to make it.
That's cool.
So,
and it stars you?
It does. Yes. They also have the caveat of being like, Rory's not really working for this pilot, so we're going to not use him. So
for him.
Totally. So yeah.
But it's weird how hard this question is for me to ask, even though the question itself is not a difficult one at all. How much input did you have in the development of it?
I think a good amount. It's really based on Scott's parents, heavily based on his parents. And I think this show sold because it's so personal to him. So I kind of helped him define some of the characters and add some what if this, what if that kind of stuff. It was really the first time I've worked with someone where it just felt so natural because he's so funny and I think he feels that I'm really funny. And I think it was just this perfect collision of I'm great at pacing around saying what if, but I don't know what to do with that what if you like it. And he's great at going, I know where to log all the what ifs and I know how to pick out which what ifs work and add my own input. So I would say that we met for about a week or 2 weeks and just every day worked on this idea and then just went out with it.
What ifs meaning like he would say, here's a premise and you'd say, well, what if?
Yeah, and back and forth. And I'd say, and I would come up with like dialogue where I'm like, this seems like probably something that would happen maybe in episode 5. But what if the dad said this to the son? And then he would just write it down and be like, oh, that's great dialogue. Or, oh, I can sharpen that up. Or he was also great at going, no, it's not funny. In which case I'm like, oh, great. Because I'm horrible at going, what should this character's name be? And that's 3 days wasted that I wonder what the character's name should be. And he's great at going, well, let's just move on. Let's not care. Or, oh, that's a good idea. Let's go down that path. And I'll just go down it. So, yeah, Scott's been a really great sort of captain of this team, keeping my head in check.
The show, well, what I read on Deadline is that it's about like a type A overachiever who moves back in with his parents to take care of them. Is that right?
Yeah, all of them his parents are both only children. He's also an only child. So their sort of issues fall on him because there's no one else in the family. There's no cousins. There's no uncles. It's all him having to deal with it. And the amount of stress they're causing him and his wife are sort of breaking him and his wife up. And so he's going to go home and put an end to all of it. And he kind of comes to realize that he's just as screwed up as they are. So, yeah.
So he goes home to kind of have a standoff, I mean, like
Yeah.
And why are they putting stress on
because they're newly retired.
Oh, okay.
And so they've come to realize that even in their retirement, they're starting to hate each other as a couple. And he's like, oh, we'll get a divorce. And they're like, we don't. What I like about the show is that we want to make sure that the parents aren't just deemed like, here's young people thinking older people are crazy. We kind of want to give both sides because I think there is both sides. I think when older people say, you young people, like you're this way, and I'm not always like, you're just old. So I'm starting to realize, I'm 32, and I'm starting to realize like, oh, some of the stuff you say is right, but also some of the stuff I say about you being crazy is also right. And that kind of was... We're like,
it's
that's
so uncomfortable, that realization.
It is. It's weird because
I think nuanced.
I feel like it's in the 30s that happens.
Yeah.
Because now you're old enough to see that you think teenagers are crazy.
Yes.
But you're also young enough to remind yourself you don't want to sound like a 50-year-old person who's like just mad at teenagers. So you're still like, all right, some of the stuff, but I get it because I probably did it. And you're almost right in the middle.
Not knowing whether to relate to the parents or the kids in a given situation.
Yeah, and you don't want to be the uncool person who just thinks the kids are always the problem. You're like, and I think you're more honest about like, well, the kids aren't always the issue. Sometimes you adults are crazy too. So with that in mind, we were like, it seems like sort of a perfect foundation for this show is that perspective. So.
And is it single camera or multi-camera? Multi-camera.
Yeah, multi-camera, yeah.
When do you find out what goes on with it?
I don't know. I mean, we get the notes today, and then I would imagine sometime maybe this month or early next month, I think we'll know if they want to go to pilot or not, and I'll find out if I get to be a part of it.
Well, that's really exciting.
Yeah, it's very surreal, so it's cool.
There's something very zeitgeisty, I think, right now about kids moving back in with their parents.
Mm-hmm. I think it's happening a lot. I think that's a common story. In fact, even when it got posted on Deadline, that exact article, some comments where I think some people didn't even really read the description of the show, but they were just like, oh, another guy moves in with his parents to reconnect with his hometown. And some people I think were friends with Scott would then comment like, oh, it was the part about reconnecting with the hometown that I agree. Oh, wait, no, they never said that. The show's nothing about that.
Yeah.
So we were trying to think of, well, what's a way where a guy moves home and it seems more and I don't know how to say it, like more honest. Like I do think that you do have a lot of like, oh, kids moving home, but then it's sort of in that honest vein. It's like there are a lot of kids that live at home now, not kids, like people in their 30s, late 20s. It seems to be really like a thing of like, no, back in probably settler days, everybody lived together for a long time, and then that went away for 100 years, and now we're back to kids never leave. They stay.
Well, see, I think that in reality, this would be my assessment, I think. In reality, kids are moving back home or staying home because of economics.
Yeah.
But on TV or movies, what we're seeing are these sort of fun, more palatable twists on it, because the idea of just someone who can't afford it who moves back home, that's not as fun to watch.
It's kind of sad.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that actually is done a lot. The person who has to move back home. And I'm not necessarily against it. I think anything can work. But we thought about that with this one. We were like, well, let's have the guy be like pretty self-sufficient. Let's have him actually be a pretty smart guy, and have the parents, maybe in terms of like technology and stuff, play the parents as probably most parents are, where they're like, I don't know how computers work. And the guy actually can hold a job, but psychologically, because he's an only child and his parents being only child, there's damage for all three of them. So it's more like psychologically that's what's ruining his marriage and causing him to stay there and be like, all right, I'm going to fix you guys.
Yeah.
And be like more like a live-in therapist rather than this guy who's like, oh, I don't have any money, I got to live here,
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And I think also people in their 30s who find themselves in positions of, if you have older parents and you're then caring for them health-wise, that's like a whole different dynamic as well that can take you back home.
Yeah. And I think we try to include all that. Yeah.
Well, it sounds good. I can't wait to watch it with you in it.
Man, thank you. I think the script is really funny. So I think what he turned in recently and what they're talking about today, I think it's really funny. But it's so interesting being in entertainment, as you know, that these things that seem like so like, oh, it's so great, and then they're like, no, we just can't do it. You're like, oh, okay. So it's one of those things I'm super excited about, but I'm only allowing my excitement to go to a certain level where I'm like, all right, well, I'm keeping everything in place. I'm still doing my normal stuff, and I'm not like letting myself go into the fantasy of, well, what would life be like if I could have a job like this that I would love? I won't let it happen. So
yeah. I had do you know who Sarah Schaefer is?
Yes. Yeah.
I had Sarah in here, and I forget exactly what we were talking about, but her like expectations and excitement level about her new show are, you can tell it's so like she is so keeping that in a realistic level.
Yes.
There's no part of her it's like, woohoo, I have a show, which I'm like, that you should feel like, congratulations, that's so great,
Yeah.
But it's just like, you never know till like.
Yeah,
which
I'm very good friends with her boyfriend, Scott Moran. And over like the past probably 2 years or year and a half, I've seen like how she maintains it in a weird way. It's like this. It's very professional.
Yeah.
To be like, I'll never think anything's like a sure thing, and that's probably why she now does have like a show because of that. But I know what you mean. There is a part of you wants to just throw her a surprise party and be like, fuck, just scream.
Yeah.
I want you to throw this champagne I want this full bottle, smash it against that brick wall and just yell at the ceiling.
Right.
But I like that she's like, no, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, that's what it is.
It's like, it's very mafia-esque. Yeah.
Exactly. You have a sister. Do you have other siblings?
I have 4 sisters and 2 brothers.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and I'm the second oldest.
Wow.
The oldest boy.
Are these same parents, all of you guys?
No, my older sister and I, we had a mother. She passed away when we were very young. And then it's all like half sisters and half brothers. Yeah.
So how are you relating to the only child thing, being someone who is not an only child at all?
Not at all. Scott is an only child, so it's more like definitely me taking on his mentality with I guess my sort of delivery and sense of humor a little bit. But yeah, I'm the exact opposite with so many siblings fighting for attention.
What was your childhood like?
It was great. I love having a lot of siblings. I think it's fantastic. I liked coming from a big house and a big family. I like there being lots of people. Also, everybody in my family is very funny and also like a bunch of smart asses. So it definitely sort of steered me in this direction of being able to see something happen and having to hold your own on your funny comment or when to slide in your funny comment. I try to describe it as I come from a family where if you tripped and fell down, my whole family would ask you if you're okay. And as soon as you said yes, it was like, well, then here come. So we're going to make fun of you so hard for what happened now that we know that you're all right. So not like total jerks, but there will be a point when you're like, all right, we all remember I fell. Let's stop doing it. So I sort of grew up in that family. So with a lot of my younger brothers and sisters, I was the first person to try to be like, I am going to throw in a comment. I'm going to try to make as many jokes about this thing. So I find that I have a lot of younger siblings who are very quiet, probably because
they hate you.
I was just so overpowering about trying to keep attention.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't think they hate me, but I bet there is a little resentment of like, oh, if something happens, they're like, oh, if Rory were here, we wouldn't hear the end of it for an hour. Like,
what's the age difference between you and the next one?
She, I believe, is 23 or 24. So, yeah, it's almost 8
years.
8 years, yeah.
Mm-hmm. How old were you when your mom died?
It was on my first birthday.
Oh.
So 1 year old. Yeah, she had Hodgkin's disease, which she had. I don't exactly know when she was diagnosed with it, but I think had it like during the whole pregnancy or most of the pregnancy. So it was once I was born, because I have no memory of this, so it's like family telling me. But I think she stayed in the hospital or was in and out of the hospital. I'm not entirely sure. Mm-hmm. So, yeah. It's a weird thing. I've talked about it. Do you ever listen to Pete Holmes' podcast?
I do.
I talked about it with him, and it was so strange. We really got into this really cool, deep place about it. But I try to tell him I have friends who like have made jokes about it that I always find really funny in a weird way because it's like something, I don't know what I can do about it. But it is kind of funny to laugh about those kind of things. Not in a disrespectful way.
Right.
But, yeah. It's kind of weird.
Yeah, I know. I wish I haven't heard your episode of Pete Holmes, so I'm gonna have to go listen afterwards.
This is how I sell people to listen to it. I bring it up.
Right.
Well, you really should listen to my episode.
I think that's what made me feel okay asking you about it. Is I can tell that you seem very like not. It doesn't seem. It's not raw at all.
Yeah, it's one of those things where whenever I see someone who last night I did the 51st Jokes show at the Downtown Independent, and some Whitmer Thomas and DC Pearson had talked about having dead moms, and it kind of became this theme. And then I said I had a dead mom, but the way I said it, it seemed like I was making fun of them and trying to. I was like, my mom's dead too. If that wins any points, I think people thought I was just saying it to try to win over the audience. Right. When in reality, I was like, no, I'm trying to say that I have it too. But it was this. It's this kind of this weird thing of. I kind of lost my train of thought going. Now I'm picturing 51st Jokes over and over again.
I was saying you don't seem raw.
Yeah, no, yeah, because I pictured Whitmer and DC, and I didn't ask them this, but I was like, oh, I wonder what age they were, because I think that's so different. Like, I come from an age where I never knew my mother, so I couldn't say if that's easier or harder than someone whose mom died maybe when they were 14, like a really critical age, like in their teenage years. Someone in their 30s, if their mother dies, I'd like to think that's probably easier to deal with. You did have a lot of time, but... Also, you're more mature. Your outlook on like death is probably very different. But yeah, I've always looked at it where I don't know how I don't know. Like it is a sad thing, but it's also like I'm 32, so I've had 31 years of it not being there. So it's like a lot of time that you can, move on. I guess, and then it just becomes like a little thing in the back of your head all the time.
How do you feel when you look at a picture of your mom?
I don't know, because I've only seen so many pictures, so it's always like the same pictures. It's kind of weird. It's like a stranger, really, because you don't know, but it's this weird attachment to a stranger where you don't know the voice. My grandparents, I just found out, have these like reels of video footage of my mom, and I'm like, you got to put this on DVD. I was like, me and my older sister, we have never, we don't have any memory of seeing our mother like in motion, like doing something. I was like, that's probably very... emotionally like something great to see, and so I'm trying to get them to put it on DVD, which I think they're trying to do, so we can like watch it. But yeah, it's weird. Like if I heard her voice, I'd probably immediately start crying. I wouldn't know how to take that in, because I don't know that, and I don't know her physicality. It's those kind of weird things that I don't know if a lot of people like would factor that in if they thought about it. But yeah, you think about those kind of things.
Right. Was it something do you recall feeling sad about it as a kid, or like what was your take on it as growing up?
I don't at all. My aunt immediately moved in with me and my sister and my dad, and she was his younger sister, and so immediately started taking care of us. And I was 1 year old, so I think I had just started like walking. And so like I don't have like this recollection of loss. Maybe I always wonder this too, because you could totally say, well, there's something psychologically damaging. You haven't become aware of like this lot. You know what I mean? Like, sure, that's there. Who knows? Like, if I have a breakdown one day, I could maybe attribute it to that. I don't know. But
keep it in your back pocket.
Yeah, it's one of those things where I'm like, I don't really know, because my aunt immediately moved in and started taking care of us. And she was very much like, from a very early age, saying, I'm your aunt, making it very clear, I'm not your mother, I'm your aunt, and your mother passed away. And as a kid, you eventually, I feel like I remember even as a kid, I became more attached to my aunt, who, when my dad remarried, I think when I was 7. So when my aunt, before my dad remarried, my aunt had moved out. And I remember her like coming back to visit, and when she would visit and then leave, she like moved to another city. When she would leave, it destroyed me. So I equate that in a way of like, oh, that's probably
some
what
of those
that,
feelings.
I'm probably attributing it to that. And those are very vivid memories. I remember it very clearly, like what that felt like. So
when she left?
Like when she would leave. Yeah.
What did
and
it
I
feel
remember
like?
it was just like devastating, just heartbreaking. Because this was someone who like, raised you.
Yeah, it was like a mom.
And this is someone, and you're like, I want to say I was maybe 6 years old, and she had taken us to. She lived in Florence, so it was like a good 3 to 4 hour drive away. And she was leaving this one morning, but she was taking me and my sister to school. And I remember the whole ride to school. I knew that she was leaving because this has happened before, and I knew she was leaving. And I got out of the car, and we were like walking up. She was walking up to at school. You had to get in line for your class, so it was like kindergarten through 5th grade. And I remember I was holding it in. I was just like, I'm going to class, everything's fine. And I just like broke into tears, and I dropped my stuff. I was like, I don't want you to go. And she like had to leave. And I look back on that now, and I'm like that was so much like for me to deal with, but I can't imagine for her what that must, like a little kid saying that to you, and you have to go, and you're not coming back for like months to visit again. You know what I mean? So I would say going back to the question of like, do you remember that thing? I would attribute it to those moments for sure, because I think that's probably as close as it would feel.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So she lived with you till you were 6, is that what you said? I
think so. I don't totally remember. I think I want to say 6 or 7. So I was in 2nd grade when my dad remarried, so I would have been 7. And I know that particular instance I'm talking about happened in the 1st grade. Did she move out because your dad was going to remarry? I think so. And I think it had gotten to a point where, because she moved in with us, started taking care of us right out of college. So this was like someone who was like, I'm going to go to college and I'm going to be a teacher. I'm going to do this and this. And then immediately was like, I'm putting everything on hold for 5 straight years. Right. So I think it had gotten to a point where, she needed to go get more school and then like get like into her teaching program and start her own life. So I think that's more what was happening.
Is she still in your life?
Oh yeah, very much so. Yeah.
And how did you feel when your dad got remarried?
I never have. I don't have like this like. I always thought about that. Like I don't have like the TV style. I hate you.
You're not my real mom.
Yeah, I don't think that ever really. I mean, sure, there's a lot of instances, and I don't necessarily think that my family is like super close. But I never had like that sort of typical teenage outlash of like, you're not my real mom. You know, it's I haven't been like that. So yeah.
There's one more question about this, and then we can move on to lighter things.
Totally, no worries.
Do you think that the way it affected your dad, and I don't know how it affected your dad, but do you think the way it affected your dad affected you? Because, like, I know that, so my mom lost both of her parents when she was 31, and I think her mourning was kind of wordlessly passed on to my little sister, who was like 2 at the time. I think my sense is that in a way that it was traumatic for her, not just sort of, everything that happened, but I think that for a little while my mom wasn't there as much.
Right.
For a while my mom wasn't there as
like
much.
Mentally checked out? Yeah. As a kid, I can't say. I mean, from what I'm told from my family, I mean, you can imagine it was devastating. I mean, what a horrible thing to go through. But I don't know. I don't have any memory of like what being so young that I guess when I can really start remembering stuff, maybe I was around 4 when you really maybe can start to actually have a memory of things happening. So around 4, it had passed for about 3 years. So my earliest memories are more of like fun, like lighthearted, being a good dad. But yeah, I don't know if I can relate to that specifically, like what you're saying with your sister,
Right.
because I don't think I remember him checking out mentally, because I think he might have been over that phase. Not that you ever get over it, but over
he had
that
some time
initial.
to
Yeah, I mean, and that was a
prepare.
time frame where I wouldn't really remember my youth, anyways.
Right.
So yeah,
Right. And what's the age difference between you and your older sister?
a year and a half. Yeah.
So, okay, you went to D.C. and then you went to New York to continue pursuing comedy.
Yeah. I was in a position where I didn't know if I wanted to move to Chicago or New York, and I was about to move to Chicago, and I did the Seattle Comedy Competition, and I had a really good first night in that competition. That was the only night, like, there were industry judges. You know, when you always hear that, there's no industry people, but I guess this night there was, like, legitimately industry people. And it ended up getting me like some meetings that I was way too early. I didn't understand meetings. I didn't know how to like compose. I didn't even know what to be prepared for. But it was enough in those meetings for them to be like, well, yeah, we'd like to see you doing stuff. And, if you're in Chicago, it'll be harder than if you're in New York, where we, are, or in L.A. And I was like, oh, I'm not going to move to L.A., but
Because it just seemed too far.
it seemed too far. And it also, even though I was so immature and didn't really understand my career anyways, there was just something instinctually that I was like, L.A. feels like towards when you've got it figured out.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm doing stand-up. I know, from what I've heard, New York is just more for stand-up. So it just made sense. Also, already being on the East Coast, I was like, we can drive 4 hours north as opposed to flying across the country. So, yeah.
Right. Were you already with your
Yeah, fiance.
at
We
that
met
time?
in D.C. So yeah,
Okay.
we had just started living together, and then I was like, we should move to New York. And she's more of a stage actress. She loves like Broadway and stuff. So she was like super into it, and I think wanted to live in New York at some point, anyways. So
Where in New York did you guys live?
we started in Hoboken, New Jersey, and then we lived in Bushwick, Brooklyn, and then we lived in the Lower East Side. When we lived in Bushwick, we lived with 2 other couples in a loft. So there were 6 people, 3 couples. It was like the
That
worst
sounds kind of
scenario
awful,
you could
yeah.
ever
Like an artist loft, one of
live
those
in.
sort of
Yeah.
things that you look at it and you think humans shouldn't live like this.
Yeah, super artsy. I mean, it looks nice, but after like 2 months, you're like, oh, I'm starting to see the flaws here. This is not
Yeah.
good living at all.
Right. Were there parties there all the time? My experience of Bushwick
Yeah.
lofts is that there are always things happening.
Yeah, there
Fun,
were
fun,
always parties in
loud things.
other places, and I think I had maybe just gotten to an age where I just wasn't into that
Yeah.
anymore. And also, I don't know, I was really having fun doing stand up. So I don't know how you feel, but I almost miss certain elements of New York the way I miss the way I was talking about DC. Like there was like that every time in stand-up, at least in D.C. and New York, you are living in a moment in time that you don't realize till you're not in it anymore. But New York was so fun.
I definitely miss New York. In fact, just a few people, a handful, 2 maybe, might just be one with a couple different screen names who get up my ass about how they'll be like, did you ever live in New York? I can't tell because evidently I talk too much about it, but fuck you. It was a large chunk of my life.
Yeah.
And the person I was before I moved to New York and who I am now are pretty different. I mean, and that might just be based on the big chunk of time that it was.
Because of New
but-
York.
Yeah, but it's
Yeah.
like I spent a lot of my 20s in New York, so for me it's special. So fuck off, people.
I think if anybody thinks you talk about New York too much, they've never lived in New York.
That's
because you
right.
just can't talk about New York enough. Like New York is amazing. It's the most fun city. I haven't been to every city, but of the ones I've been to, it's the
Yeah.
most fun city I've ever been in.
So what made you decide to move here then? If you
I
love
think-
it so much, can't stop talking about it.
No, I had to get out mafia stuff. I think I just got to a point where I now had reps who could get me into this TV film world that I wanted to be a part of. I mean, going back to like college where I want to be a filmmaker, and I was like, oh, maybe I won't make films, but I'm definitely in a position where I can audition for stuff. Not that I get anything, but I said to my fiance, I was like, now it seems like a time to go. If this window's open, I've seen this window close for people who didn't move. And I was like, we can always move back here easily. So that's kind of what led me out to Los Angeles. Was like, it just feels like the right pace for, I always say that I'll never stop doing stand-up. I don't really know that. I love doing stand-up right now, and I can foresee myself doing it for a long time. But right now I'm really interested in also trying to become a good actor. Like, I think I'm okay doing like silly comedy stuff just because of stand-up, but I would actually like to see if I can be an actor. And the only way to do it is, to be here and try to dive in.
Hey, you guys, it's me, Allison. Again, don't forget to download part 2 bright and early Thursday morning, which possibly means really late Wednesday night. Write it on your hand. Bye, you guys. I love you.
Hey, do you know about the Alison Rosen show? We had a good time, but now we gotta go. Thank you for choosing the Alison Rosen show. Alison Rosen is your new best friend. That's right. That's right. Those good times don't seem to end. That's right. That's right. Alison Rosen is your new best friend. Hey, do you know about the Alison Rosen show? We had a good time, but now it's time to go. Hope to see you next time for the Alison Rosen show. Yeah! Yeah, Alison Rosen is your new best friend.
This is Corolla Digital.